At the beginning of the drama, the female lead Wei Wei is messaging someone saying, "It's raining outside, and because of this, I'll be late for class." While she is waiting for the rain to stop, a boy accidentally hits her with an umbrella from behind, causing her to fall. This boy is none other than the male lead Si Chong. As soon as Wei Wei falls, some electric waves come out of her hands, and the people on whom these waves fall start kissing the people around them. But Si Chong just looks at her and walks away. Wei Wei says, "My body has static energy, and whenever my heart rate increases, shock waves come out of my body, which temporarily make people fall in love. But this effect lasts only for 24 hours. Because of this power, I have faced many problems." Now Wei Wei reaches the class, but because of the rain, she gets wet and is also late. The teacher scolds her. Wei Wei says sorry and makes an excuse about an accident. The teacher lets her into the class. After class, Wei Wei goes to a cafe where her roommate Yushin works. Wei Wei asks her, "Why didn't you come to class? The teacher was asking about you." Yushin says, "I had already informed that I couldn't attend the class because of my part-time job." There, Wei Wei meets her friend Daishi and asks her, "Why didn't you come to pick me up in the morning?" Daishi says, "I think I have a crush on someone." In a flashback, we see that Daishi had gone for an interview with the swimming team and was impressed by champion Si Chong. Now Daishi says to Wei Wei, "I really like him and I need your help with this." Wei Wei refuses, saying, "I won't use my power." But Daishi convinces her, saying, "I'll attend the massage class in your place." In the next scene, the teacher tells Wei Wei, "You need to score 90 marks in the exam to take the economics class instead of the massage class." Hearing this, Wei Wei gets tense. Then, when Wei Wei is about to go to class, she notices Si Chong's shoes. She stops him and says, "You were the one who pushed me." Si Chong replies, "You were the one blocking the way," and goes to his seat. Due to the push, Wei Wei falls on him, and the whole class starts teasing them. Wei Wei runs away from there. When Wei Wei comes to the room, Daishi asks her, "Did the teacher agree?" Wei Wei tells her everything. The next day, Si Chong is taking his swimming class. Wei Wei and Daishi also come there. Wei Wei tells the coach, "I'm here to take the massage class and give a massage." The coach calls Si Chong. Both are shocked to see each other. Si Chong starts to leave, but Daishi stops him. Wei Wei starts using her power, but then she gets distracted by seeing someone. When she comes out, Daishi asks her, "Why didn't you use your power?" Wei Wei says, "I thought I saw an old friend here." In the next scene, Si Chong's mom comes to meet him and tells him, "Your report is still inside the college." Si Chong runs to the data room. Wei Wei sees him and calls Daishi. Si Chong takes his file and leaves, and they both follow him. Daishi stops Si Chong. Meanwhile, Wei Wei, dressed as Pikachu, stands behind him. Just as she is about to use her power, Si Chong grabs her hand. Si Chong gets shocked, but he has seen Wei Wei, and he smiles sweetly at her. Wei Wei takes the opportunity to run away. In the room, Daishi is very happy because she thinks Si Chong has fallen in love with her, but Wei Wei is tense. On the other hand, Si Chong is thinking with Pikachu's head in front of him, "Ever since I saw that girl, my heart has been beating fast." He is thinking about Wei Wei. The next day, Si Chong asks his friends about Wei Wei, but they don't know anything. Just then, Si Chong sees Wei Wei and starts following her. Wei Wei goes to the counselor to return the Pikachu costume, but the counselor says, "Pikachu's head is missing and you will have to pay extra for it." Wei Wei refuses. Just then, Si Chong comes and puts Pikachu's head on her, and they start fighting. Seeing this, Wei Wei grabs his hand and takes him away from there. Si Chong is happy that Wei Wei held his hand, but as soon as Wei Wei realizes this, she lets go and says, "You have fallen in love." Si Chong asks, "With whom?" Wei Wei replies, "With no one." Si Chong comes closer and says, "I like being with you." Hearing this, Wei Wei steps back and almost hits the wall, but Si Chong saves her head. Si Chong asks her for dinner, but Wei Wei runs away without answering. Wei Wei goes to her room and gets angry at herself, thinking she has accidentally used her powers on Si Chong. Wei Wei meets Daishi and says, "My powers have failed." Daishi also says, "If your magic had worked, Si Chong would have messaged me at night." Si Chong goes to his second lead, Ping Pai, and discusses his feelings. Ping Pai says, "You should confess your feelings." Si Chong thinks and decides, "I will confess." After class, Si Chong confesses his feelings to Wei Wei in front of everyone, but Wei Wei gets nervous and runs away. Si Chong follows her and says, "I told you we would talk later." Wei Wei explains to him, "This is just an illusion. You will forget about it tomorrow," and starts to leave. Just then, she bumps into Si Chong's mom. Si Chong says, "This is my future girlfriend." Si Chong's mom meets Wei Wei and takes her to dinner. It's her birthday today. During dinner, Si Chong's parents are very friendly and like Wei Wei. After dinner, Si Chong drops Wei Wei at the college. Wei Wei says, "Thank your mom on my behalf. I can't accept all these gifts and snacks." While they are talking, Peng Pai comes there. It turns out they already know each other. They don't talk much and Wei Wei leaves. After she leaves, Peng Pai asks Si Chong, "What? Is this the girl you were talking about? The one you like?" Si Chong says yes. Meanwhile, as Wei Wei is leaving, everyone is talking about her because her photo with Si Chong's mom has gone viral all over reaches her room. Dai Shi is sitting there and asks her, "Why didn't you answer my phone?" Without answering her, Wei Wei says, "I met Peng Pai today, who has now changed his name. Seeing him shocked me so much that I couldn't talk properly and left." Ignoring everything, Dai Shi asks, "First, tell me what's going on between you and Si Chong." Wei Wei tells her, "My powers have accidentally worked on me." Dai Shi says, "Why didn't you tell me this before?" Wei Wei says, "I didn't tell you because you'd be upset. But don't worry, we have a plan. Everything will be normal by tomorrow." Then Dai Zi agrees. Meanwhile, Si Chong is sitting with Ping Pai. Their conversation reveals that Ping Pai knows Wei Wei from high school, and she was a runner at school. Si Chong also says, "Everything was normal before, but the day she saw me, I didn't understand what happened." Peng Pai asks, "Did you fall in love at first sight?" Si Chong says, "Yes, you could say something like that." Peng Pai says, "Don't rush. Think calmly." Si Chong agrees. At night, Si Chong messages Wei Wei, "I'm sure you'll fall in love with me and I won't give up." Wei Wei tells him to calm down. The next morning, when Si Chong wakes up and looks at his phone, he is shocked to see the message he sent to Wei Wei and starts remembering the events of yesterday. Wei Wei goes to Deng Yi and asks, "Is Si Chong going to train?" He asks, "Are you going to surprise him?" Wei Wei says yes. While she is messaging Dai Shi in the cafe, Peng Pai comes and apologizes for a mistake made in the past. But Wei Wei says, "Forget what happened, I'm getting late for my class," and leaves. Meanwhile, Ding is talking to Si Chong about Wei Wei. Si Chong tries to sneak away from him. Ding asks, "What happened to you? Yesterday you were talking a lot about her, and today you're hiding." Si Chong says, "She was right. Love at first sight is a stupid thing." Ding asks, "If Wei Wei comes in front of you, how will you behave?" Si Chong says, "It depends on my mood." Then Wei Wei is waiting for Si Chong in the pool area. As soon as he arrives, Wei Wei says according to her plan, someone is drowning there, which is actually Dai Shi, who is pretending to drown in the pool. Si Chong says, "Do you think I'm a fool? If someone doesn't know how to swim, how can they go into such deep water?" Saying this, he starts to leave. But Wei Wei pushes him into the pool. As Si Chong falls, he pulls Wei Wei into the pool with him, and they both fall together. Si Chong and Wei Wei accidentally kiss, causing electric waves to come out of Wei Wei's body, affecting everyone. Because of this, Dai Shi and Ding fall in love with each other, and Si Chong falls in love with Wei Wei again. He smiles at her, but his voice becomes like a girl's, which shocks him, and he leaves. The next day, Dai Shi is very angry with Wei Wei and starts packing her things. She says, "I think you've fallen in love with Si Chong." Wei Wei tries to explain that it's not true. Dai Shi says, "Yes, you also have Peng Pai, so use your powers on him too. Then you'll have 2 boyfriends." Hearing this, Wei Wei feels very bad, and Dai Shi also feels that she might have said too much, but then she leaves the room. After that, Wei Wei goes to her class monitor Lin and asks, "How can I get extra masks?" Lin tells her, "I'm also thinking of opening a massage club for this." Wei Wei says, "That's a good idea, so how many members are there in your club?" Lin says, "Right now, it's just you and me, making 2 members." Wei Wei agrees to join his club and says, "We'll have to do a survey for this." Lin starts telling her a lot of things for the survey. Just then, Si Chong arrives, who hears this and takes Wei Wei outside with him. As soon as he speaks, Wei Wei realizes that his voice has returned, so she starts to leave, but Si Chong stops her and says, "You don't need to do the survey because you're my girlfriend, so now I'll help you." Wei Wei knew he wouldn't give up easily, so she agrees to take his help. After a bit of surveying, they go to a cafe. Here, Si Chong starts talking about his proposal again. Wei Wei says, "Think a little. How did you suddenly start liking me so much? And what if you wake up tomorrow morning and regret all this?" But Si Chong still doesn't agree. Wei Wei gets up and leaves. Si Chong is now very upset with Wei Wei's behavior and tells Deng everything. Deng says, "You're a bit too straightforward," and gives him some tricks to woo Wei Wei. Si Chong now prepares for a grand proposal and sends a map to Wei Wei, asking her to come to that place. Wei Wei starts going to the place Si Chong mentioned with the help of the map, but stops midway because she doesn't understand where to go next. Meanwhile, Peng Pai is having dinner with his friends there, and as soon as he goes to Wei Wei, he asks her to join them for dinner, but Wei Wei refuses. At the same time, Si Chong is shown to be very worried and calls Wei Wei, but she doesn't pick up. Then Dung tells him, a notice has come that the electricity is going to go out and our plan might fail. He then shows him a photo of Peng Pai and Wei Wei, which makes Si-chong immediately go to Wei Wei. Meanwhile, Peng Pai's friend is telling Wei Wei, Peng Pai is a very good guy, and you should definitely consider him. At the same time, Si-chong comes and starts taking Wei Wei away. Peng Pai says, Si-chong, leave her. But Si-chong says, what does it matter to you? And takes Wei Wei away. Peng Pai is about to follow them, but his friend spills something on his clothes, so he can't go after them. Si-chong takes Wei Wei to his proposal spot and shows her the surprise he prepared for her. Then he says, now you must understand how serious I am about you. He comes closer and says, I always think only about you and now I need your answer. Wei Wei backs up against the wall, and because her heart is beating very fast, as soon as she accidentally touches a wire, all her energy transfers into the wire, and all the lights there turn on. Seeing this, Si-chong is shocked and thinks, how did this happen? Taking advantage of this, Wei Wei runs away, but Si-chong follows her and stops her, asking, tell me what all this was. Wei Wei says, let me go, but Si-chong doesn't let her go. Here, Wei Wei's heartbeat gets even faster, and she hugs Si-chong, which shocks him. When Wei Wei's heartbeat returns to normal, she moves away from Si-chong. Si-chong asks her, tell me the truth, what is happening? Wei Wei doesn't say anything, but when Si-chong talks about telling the police, Wei Wei stops him and says, my body is electro-furious. She says, I hugged you so that you wouldn't get shocked. Otherwise, you would have had the illusion again that you love me. Si-chong says, but it all feels real. Whenever I look into your eyes, my heartbeat gets faster. Wei Wei says, it's all just an illusion, and leaves. Si-chong angrily goes to swimming practice and swims very fast this time. Dung is both happy and surprised to see him, but Si-chong is still angry and goes to his room to research Wei Wei. Then he angrily messages Wei Wei, because of you, I lost 48 hours, so you have to stay with me for 24 hours. Wei Wei refuses, but the next day, Si-chong himself goes to Wei Wei and orders breakfast, telling her to pay for it. Now that Si-chong knew Wei Wei's secret, Wei Wei had to agree. But Si-chong doesn't stop there. He makes Wei Wei do all his work. Seeing this, Daishi gets even angrier and bumps into Dung. Daishi says, I think you like me, so she keeps coming in front of him. After making Wei Wei work all day, Si-chong says, we'll continue tomorrow. Wei Wei says, why again? You said only 24 hours. Si-chong says, it's only been a few hours. You have to stay with me for the full 24 hours. Wei Wei refuses and leaves. The next day in class, Wei Wei comes in and Si-chong sits behind her. Everyone talks about them. When the teacher calls Wei Wei's name, she is lost in her thoughts. Si-chong touches her from behind, and she quickly stands up. She apologizes to the teacher and goes to the board to give a presentation with Lin. After the presentation, Si-chong asks her, tell me about electricity. Hearing this, Wei Wei gets nervous and says nothing. Even after class, Si-chong follows her and says, you were supposed to spend 24 hours with me. Wei Wei angrily says, will you stop talking about electricity? Si-chong laughs and says, so can I call you Pikachu? Wei Wei refuses and leaves. Si-chong sits angrily in the cafeteria. Then Dung comes and says, you haven't given up on Wei Wei yet? Si-chong replies, there's nothing between us. Focus on your work. Dung stays quiet. Peng Pai is shown going to Si-chong's house with his boss. The boss tells Si-chong's parents, he is good at sports and handsome too. He should become a sports celebrity. At college, Wei Wei fills out the form for her massage club and goes to the counselor to get it signed. The counselor makes her do a lot of work and asks her to put up posters on campus. When Wei Wei puts up the posters, it turns out they are old posters, and she is asked to take them all down. Hearing this, Wei Wei gets angry. When she refuses to do all this, the counselor threatens her, don't you want your form signed? At this moment, Si-chong comes and tells the counselor, don't mess with Wei Wei. Hearing this, Wei Wei puts her hand on his mouth to shut him up. Si-chong angrily tells the counselor, just because you have powers doesn't mean you can bully students. He says more things which scare the counselor, and he runs away. The counselor says, if you don't put up new posters, I won't sign your form. Hearing all this, Wei Wei gets very upset and leaves. Si-chong follows her and apologizes. He says, it's all my fault. I won't talk about electricity with you anymore. Then he jokes, but if you're still angry with me, you can give me an electric shock. Hearing this, Wei Wei says, you started again. You won't understand. Si-chong says, "It's not like that. I understand that you've had misunderstandings before because of this electricity." Then we see a scene from the past when Wei Wei was in school and accidentally shocked people. People started having love illusions and misunderstood her, thinking Wei Wei was a girl who changed boyfriends every day. Even her best friend left her. Wei Wei tells Si-chong everything. "Because of this, I had to change my school and met Daishi in the new school. I kept my electricity secret from everyone." Si-chong says, "I can understand," and asks, "Is this why you want to change your major?" Wei Wei says, "Yes." Then we see Si-chong where the coach praises him. "You've been swimming very well these days." But Ding jokingly says, "It's all because of Wei Wei's love." Si-chong says, "It's nothing like that." After the coach leaves, Si-chong asks Ding, "What is a way to increase human body strength?" Ding gives him some weird ideas, but Si-chong starts researching on his own. When he doesn't find anything, he realizes that when Wei Wei shocks him, he swims faster. He calls Wei Wei at night and asks her to meet him. When Wei Wei arrives, Si-chong asks her to record the time and goes swimming. He completes the race in 51 seconds. Seeing this, Wei Wei says, "You called me just to see this?" Si-chong says, "I think you will electrify me again." Wei Wei refuses and leaves. Si-chong follows her and stops her, saying, "I didn't do this on purpose." He asks her to give him an electric shock again, but Wei Wei refuses. Then Wei Wei says, "If you need an electric shock, why don't you do it yourself?" Si-chong says, "When you shock me, my swimming speed increases." Wei Wei explains, "I've never shocked the same person repeatedly." Si-chong explains, "I'm ready to do anything for swimming, and if anything happens, I'll handle it." Wei Wei finally agrees and takes him to the basketball court to electrify him. She starts jumping to increase her heartbeat, but nothing happens. Si-chong holds her hand and brings her closer. As soon as Wei Wei's heartbeat reaches a fast rate, she shocks him. Si-chong's body gets electrically charged, and he goes for fast swimming. After his practice, Si-chong takes Wei Wei to dinner, and he says, "Charge yourself up. Who knows, in the future, you might run out of energy and won't be able to electrify me." Wei Wei says, "You can doubt me, but never doubt my electricity." Si-chong says, Yes, okay," and then he starts feeding her with his hand. Seeing this, Wei Wei glares at him and starts eating on her own, but while eating, some food sticks to her mouth, and Si-chong cleans it with his hand. Wei Wei keeps looking at him. At night, we see Deng asking Si-chong to watch a movie. Si-chong first searches for the movie, but then refuses. The next morning, he goes to Wei Wei and says, "I'll take you to a movie to thank you." Before Wei Wei can say anything, Peng Pai arrives, who is about to take Wei Wei to the movie. Seeing this, Si-chong feels jealous and asks, "Which time slot were you planning to go?" Wei Wei says, "Why don't we all go together? Anyway, the tickets haven't been booked yet." All three go to watch the movie together, and Wei Wei sits between them. During the movie, Peng Pai goes to get something, and Wei Wei starts feeling sleepy. Si-chong places her head on his shoulder. When Peng Pai returns and sees this, he wakes Wei Wei up out of jealousy. Both rivals glare. After the movie, the three return. On the way, Si-chong teases Wei Wei. Peng Pai says, "You were mostly sleeping during the movie today." Wei Wei denies it, but they both argue playfully. Then Peng Pai says, Wei Wei doesn't like watching movies, she just enjoys the theater atmosphere. Hearing this, Si-chong feels even more jealous because Peng Pai knows a lot about Wei Wei. The next morning, Si-chong calls Wei Wei to the basketball court and says, "Let's play basketball." Wei Wei refuses and says, "I'll electrify you and leave." But when Wei Wei tries to hold his hand, nothing happens. Si-chong says, "Is your energy running out?" Wei Wei says, "No, I'll electrify you tomorrow." Si-chong stops her and says, "If you can take this basketball from me, you can go." Wei Wei steps back but starts to slip. Si-chong pulls her to save her, and at that moment, Wei Wei's electricity transfers to Si-chong's body. Just then, Peng Pai arrives and sees them. Si-chong says, "Wei Wei, you have a lot of electricity in you." Wei Wei gets scared and leaves, and Peng Pai follows her. After that, Si-chong's friend is trying to form a club in college, but it's not working without the counselor's signature. The counselor asks Si-chong to apologize, but Si-chong refuses. Meanwhile, Peng Pai tells Wei Wei, "I know your secret from high school when I saw you charging video games once." Peng Pai asks, "Does Si-chong know too?" Wei Wei says, "Yes, but he won't tell anyone." Then Si-chong tells Wei Wei, "I won't tell anyone about your secret. If anyone bothers you, I won't spare them." Wei Wei feels uncomfortable and says, "What's your problem?" But she feels happy inside. At night, Si-chong is checking the student union's account books, and his mom realizes he's doing it for Wei Wei. The next day, the counselor ignores Wei Wei. Daishi sees this and spills a drink on the counselor to take revenge for Wei Wei. But Deng tells her, "You did all this for Wei Wei." Daishi says nothing. Si-chong drinks milk tea with Wei Wei. Wei Wei says, "You're an athlete, you can't eat all this." But Si-chong also tastes it and says, "I can perform even after drinking milk tea." They have a fun banter. Si-chong calls Wei Wei a friend, but Wei Wei refuses. Then Si-chong eats candy from Wei Wei's hand, which she didn't like, just to become her friend. Then Wei Wei is mopping the floor on the counselor's orders to get her association paper signed. Just then, Peng Pai arrives and tells the counselor to stop doing this. The counselor says, "Wei Wei, how many boyfriends do you have?" and leaves. Meanwhile, Si-chong shows the account book to his mom, showing how much manipulation has been done. His mom thanks him for telling her this. Then Si-chong calls Wei Wei, but Peng Pai answers because Wei Wei is sleeping in the library. Si-chong gets very angry. He goes to Wei Wei and shows her the gloves. Si-chong gets very angry when he sees that Peng Pai gave Wei Wei the gloves. In anger, he throws the gloves into the water. Wei Wei gets angry. Si-chong realizes his mistake and immediately goes to the pool to retrieve the gloves. But then he sits and thinks, "What am I doing?" The next day, a notice is posted at school. The counselor has been removed from the school. Ma'am signs Wei Wei's massage club form. Wei Wei thinks Peng Pai did all this. She sends him a thank you message. Meanwhile, Si-chong is at the hospital with his mom because he injured his knee in an accident. But he hasn't told anyone about it yet. Junjun also arrives, who is the doctor's daughter and Wei Wei's roommate. On the way back, Si-chong asks Junjun about Wei Wei, but Junjun gives him a gift because she liked him. Meanwhile, seeing Peng Pai and Wei Wei sitting together, Si-chong also arrives there. From Wei Wei's words, he realizes that Wei Wei thinks Peng Pai did all this. Angrily, he leaves. Lin and Wei Wei are giving club forms to everyone, but no one is ready to take them. Then Peng Pai suggests, "Go outside the gym and give the forms." Hearing their conversation, Si-chong follows Wei Wei and, with his help, many people register for the club. Lin and Wei Wei are very happy, but Wei Wei still thinks that Peng Pai is the hero of their club because all this was possible because of him. Si-chong angrily leaves again. Wei Wei comes out and asks him, "Why are you getting angry again and again?" Just then, due to stomach pain, Wei Wei starts feeling uncomfortable. Si-chong takes her to a place to sit. When Wei Wei feels a little relieved, Dai-shi arrives and takes Wei Wei to the room. Wei Wei feels good that Dai-shi is back. The next day, the party starts. Peng Pai comes to deliver some items. Seeing Wei Wei and Peng Pai talking, Si-chong gets angry. Meanwhile, Yu Xin is also coming to the party. But after receiving a call from her mom, she angrily goes to her room. After the party ends, Si-chong and Wei Wei are cleaning up. Just then, Wei Wei's foot slips from the table. Si-chong saves her, but his knee hits the ground. The guard comes from outside and locks the room. Wei Wei calls him, but he has headphones on. Wei Wei's mobile is with Dai-shi. Si-chong makes an excuse and my mobile is with Ding, so he can spend more time with Wei Wei. Then Wei Wei asks him, "How did you get injured?" Si-chong tells her, "I saved a child in an accident and fell on the road. Someone came and saved my life. I got injured from the fall." Then Wei Wei tells him, "I also saved someone's life once with my power. Since then, I've started liking my power." They both fall asleep with their heads on each other's shoulders. In the morning, Wei Wei wakes up, but at the same time, Si-chong also wakes up. Both feel awkward and move away from each other. Wei Wei asks Si-chong, "Is your knee okay now?" Si-chong replies, "Yes." Just then, his phone rings, and it's a call from Ding. Seeing this, Wei Wei glares at him because he said yesterday that his phone was with Ding. Si-chong makes an excuse to talk on the phone and goes outside. Then we see Si-chong with his teammates, where the coach tells them that their inter-school competition is coming soon. Just then, Si-chong gets a message from his mom saying, "You have a meeting with a doctor tomorrow who has come from America." After this, Peng Pai comes to talk to Si-chong on his boss's orders, because a famous athlete, Sun Yang, was coming to their company tomorrow. So he invites Si-chong there too, but Si-chong refuses. Just then, Wei Wei arrives, bringing snacks for Si-chong. Peng Pai says to Wei Wei, "Sun Yang is coming to our company tomorrow. Si-chong isn't coming? Would you like to come?" Wei Wei immediately agrees because Sun Yang was also her idol. Si-chong says, "How can you go there first? There will be a lot of people, so you should be careful." Peng Pai says, "Don't worry, I'll take care of her." Hearing this, Si-chong feels jealous. Then when Wei Wei is in the classroom, Lee says, "In a few days, we have our rehabilitation exam, where we have to take a partner to give a massage." Hearing this, Wei Wei messages Dai-shi, but she says, "I have some work that day, so I can't be your partner for the exam." Just then, two girls come and start showing them and say, "You both take care of Jinjin and Wei Wei." At night, Dai-shi says, "Sorry, I can't go with you for your exam." "Did you?" Wei Wei says, "Yes, I found a partner." She says, "Tomorrow I'm going to Peng Pai's company to meet Sun Yang." Hearing this, Daishi says, "You've really moved on. Are you and Pingpai getting back together?" Wei Wei denies it. The next day, Wei Wei is happy looking at Sun Yang's photo. Then Si Chong says, "Even though Sun Yang has quit swimming, he is also my idol and he gave me my first medal." Wei Wei says, "You should come too." Si Chong says, "I have some work because my mom asked me to meet a doctor. That's why I'm refusing to go there." But Wei Wei keeps smiling at Sun Yang's photo. Seeing this, Si Chong snatches her phone and takes a selfie with her, saying, "Keep it. Who knows? You might only see me on TV in the future." Then Wei Wei starts deleting the photo, and Si Chong stops her. While doing all this, Jia Rui is also watching them. After this, we see Wei Wei arriving outside Peng Pai's company. There were many fans of Sun Yang there, but Peng Pai takes her inside from the side to meet Sun Yang. Two girls see this. Meanwhile, Ding says, "Daishi is with me, so you can call Wei Wei too." But Si Chong says, "Wei Wei has gone out." Then, when they are sitting in the canteen for lunch, Daishi says, "How can you let Wei Wei go with Peng Pai?" In high school, Peng Pai was the boy Wei Wei trusted the most, but when she was being bullied a lot, Peng Pai left her. And now he has changed his name? Maybe because he was afraid to face Wei Wei, and now he is trying to get close to her using Sun Yang as an excuse. Hearing this, Si Chong leaves his food and walks away. Then we see Wei Wei meeting Sun Yang and being very happy. She takes a photo with him and gets his autograph on a poster, which is for Si Chong. Seeing all this from outside, the two girls feel jealous and say, "How can an ugly girl like her get inside? This boy must be her boyfriend." Peng Pai now goes to drop off Sun Yang, and Wei Wei is very happy. Just then, the two girls come inside and start saying, "You are so ugly, you came here with your boyfriend's help," and saying a lot more. One girl is about to hit Wei Wei. Just then, Wei Wei grabs her hand and accidentally gives her a slight shock. This makes her scream, and many people gather there. One of Peng Pai's colleagues tries to explain to the people. Meanwhile, we see Si Chong, who arrives outside the company and is calling Wei Wei, but amidst all the noise, Wei Wei can't pick up his call. So Si Chong shows the security guard and enters the company. There, the other girl is about to hit Wei Wei, but Si Chong arrives just in time and stops her, saving Wei Wei and taking her away from there. Outside, Si Chong asks her, "Are you okay?" Wei Wei says, "Yes." Si Chong says, "If any problem like this happens in the future, you should react, and if someone hits you, you should hit them back." But then he says, "Forget it, you're too weak for all this. I'll protect you." Meanwhile, when Peng Pai returns after dropping off Sun Yang, his colleague tells him about the entire situation. Hearing this, he runs towards Wei Wei with her bag, but Si Chong snatches the bag from him and starts scolding him, saying, "You called Wei Wei here, so why did you leave her alone?" Peng Pai apologizes and says, "I didn't know about all this." Si Chong says, "You did the same to her in high school. She was hurt because of you. So from now on, don't even show yourself around her." Saying this, he starts taking Wei Wei away from there. Then Peng Pai says from behind, "That day, my dad had an accident." Then, in a flashback, it is shown that the day all the kids and parents were bullying Wei Wei at school, Peng Pai was about to arrive there, but he got a call from his mom telling him about his dad's accident. So, Peng Pai left. In the present, he says, "After my father's death, we sold the house." He also says, "I tried to contact you many times, but you changed your number in school." Hearing this, Wei Wei feels very bad for him. The next day, we see Wei Wei, who has her rehabilitation exam today. Si Chong comes as her massage partner, and while Wei Wei is giving him a massage, Si Chong just keeps looking at her. Meanwhile, Wei Wei and Lin go to get snacks, and on their way back, Si Chong stands in front of Wei Wei upon seeing Peng Pai, so Wei Wei doesn't see him. But Peng Pai calls out from behind and gives Wei Wei her favorite snacks, for which Wei Wei thanks him. Seeing this, Si Chong feels jealous and leaves his snacks there and walks away. Wei Wei also gets a call and leaves. We see Si Chong getting a call from his mom, scolding him because he missed his appointment with the American doctor. Si Chong says, "I was with Wei Wei and went to save her." Lin and Yu Xin take the club proposal to the teacher. The teacher says, "Wei Wei is changing her major, so why is she working so hard?" Lin calls Wei Wei to the cafe to talk about it and says, "You're fit for rehabilitation, so why are you changing your major?" Yu Xin also says she should share her problems so they can help. But Wei Wei doesn't know how to tell them that she's going through electric phobia. Just then, Si Chong calls, and she makes an excuse and leaves. When Wei Wei reaches Si Chong, she asks what happened that he was calling so much. Si Chong says, "Why weren't you answering my call?" Wei Wei says she was with Lin. Hearing this, Si Chong relaxes a bit and says, "Oh, so you were with Lin." Then he holds her hand and takes her out for a walk. They go shopping at the mall and Wei Wei asks, "Why did you bring me here?" Si Chong says, "I've never dated before. I don't know how to do all this." Wei Wei says, "We're not dating, watch your words." Si Chong, looking at a couple, says, "So then, what's our relationship?" Wei Wei nervously says, "Whatever it is, but we're not dating." Si Chong buys couple t-shirts for Wei Wei and says, "People should know here that we're friends." Then he tries to put sunglasses on her, but Wei Wei stops him. Si Chong says, "Why are you shocking me? If you want me to like you, just say it." Wei Wei says, "I didn't give you any shock." Hearing this, Si Chong is surprised. Then they go to eat, and Si Chong just keeps looking at Wei Wei. Wei Wei asks, "What's wrong with you? Are you feeling okay?" Then she checks his temperature, but Si Chong pulls her hand and asks, "Did you really not shock me?" Wei Wei says, "Yes, really." At night, we see Peng Pai in the office with his colleague, who says, "You should quickly tell Wei Wei about your feelings." The next day, Wei Wei and Daixi are going to class when a girl gives Wei Wei breakfast, which Peng Pai sent. Daixi says he knows how to woo a girl. Just then, Peng Pai calls and invites Wei Wei to dinner. Wei Wei agrees. In the classroom, Wei Wei tells Daixi, "Peng Pai invited me to dinner." Daixi says, "He likes you," but Wei Wei doesn't believe her. At night, Si Chong is waiting for Wei Wei outside. Daixi comes and tells him, Wei Wei went to dinner with Peng Pai. Si Chong asks, "Are they in a relationship?" Daixi says, "Not yet, but they will be soon." Hearing this, Si Chong leaves angrily. Then we see Wei Wei having dinner with Peng Pai. Just then, Wei Wei gets a message from Junjun asking for help. Wei Wei quickly goes to the college to find Junjun. There, a stalker touches Wei Wei, and she shocks him. Hearing the noise, everyone arrives. After beating the stalker and driving him away, the security guard asks Wei Wei, "How did you drive him away?" Si Chong says, "I gave Wei Wei an electric stun gun for self-defense." Hearing this, Wei Wei looks at him. The next day, a notice is posted at the college. A stalker is roaming around the college these days, so everyone should be careful. Seeing this, Si Chong tells Wei Wei, "I'll protect you." Daixi says, "Why are you so worried about Wei Wei?" Hearing this, Ding says, "Why? Are you jealous? If you want someone to protect you, I'm here and I'll give you a 20% discount." Here they start arguing again, but Wei Wei gets annoyed and leaves. Si Chong follows her. Actually, Wei Wei was worried that someone might have seen her yesterday, but Si Chong says, "Don't worry, nothing will happen." Then he gives her a lollipop and says, "Meet me after class," and leaves. After that, we see Junjun, who is going to meet her friend today. They tell her, "Bring Si Chong with you because they used to play together in childhood." So Junjun starts writing a letter to ask him, but just then, Wei Wei arrives. Wei Wei tells Junjun, "I'm going to check the place of last night's incident to see if there's any CCTV. So Junjun goes with her. There, they see that there really was a CCTV. Seeing this, Wei Wei gets worried that her shocking incident might have been recorded on camera. Junjun forcibly takes her to the CCTV office to check last night's footage. But the security guard tells them there was a problem with the CCTV last night. Saying this, he tries to send them away. Just then, Wei Wei notices that the stalker was walking the same way as the security guard. Wei Wei comes out and tells Junjun about it. Just then, Si Chong arrives. When Wei Wei tells Si Chong about it, he gets angry. "Why did you go to investigate everything alone? Why didn't you call me?" Seeing Si Chong so worried about Wei Wei, Junjun feels bad. And after Si Chong leaves, she also leaves. At night, Wei Wei goes to the pole to electrify Si Chong, where she runs to increase her heartbeat and tries to electrify Si Chong, but nothing happens. Just then, Si Chong suddenly picks her up in his arms, which makes Wei Wei's heartbeat faster, and she electrifies Si Chong. Seeing this, Wei Wei starts getting angry at Si Chong, but he calms her down. Wei Wei says, "If I can't control my electrifying, you might get hurt." Si Chong says, "Don't worry, nothing will happen." Then he goes swimming and swims very fast this time. Now everyone makes a plan to catch the stalker. They decide to use Ding as a trap and lock him in the girl's washroom in a girl's dress, as the stalker frequently went there. Everyone waits for the stalker for a long time, but he doesn't come. Everyone falls asleep while waiting outside. When Wei Wei rests her head on Si Chong's shoulder in her sleep, Si Chong starts to come close to kiss her, but then they see Ding and the stalker running. Everyone wakes up and starts catching the stalker. Wei Wei almost catches the stalker, but the stalker pushes her, causing her to fall directly onto Si Chong, and they accidentally kiss. Seeing this, both feel very embarrassed, and so do the others. Then everyone gets up and catches the stalker. It turns out the stalker is actually the security guard. Then they call the police and hand him over to the police. The police praise them. Jarui says, "The incident from that day must have been recorded on CCTV. Just then, Si Chong says, "I've checked it. Nothing was recorded. Let's go celebrate." And everyone happily goes. But Wei Wei was very sad, thinking her truth might come out through the CCTV footage. Si-chong says, "Don't worry, the CCTV footage will automatically be deleted in a few days." While they are celebrating, Junjun takes out a celebrate banner from her bag, but then the letter she wrote for Si-chong falls out of her bag, with her room number written on it. Ding sees this and says, "Did you write a love letter for me? Do you like me?" But Daishi tells him to shut up and asks Junjun, "Tell me, who do you like? I'll help you." Junjun points towards Si-chong, which shocks everyone. But then she suddenly points towards Xiaorui, making everyone very happy, and they cheer for both of them. After celebrating, everyone starts going back. Daishi had drunk too much, and poor Ding couldn't handle her. Wei Wei and Junjun take her inside the room. The next morning, we see Peng Pai preparing for his birthday, and today he is going to confess his feelings to Wei Wei. At that time, Si-chong's match is about to happen, and when he finds out that Wei Wei hasn't arrived yet, he asks Daishi. Daishi says, "She left in the morning. Maybe she went to Peng Pai's birthday party." Hearing this, Si-chong gets worried and jumps late when the match starts. When Wei Wei is outside, two girls are watching Si-chong's match on their mobiles, and he is performing very badly. Seeing this, Wei Wei starts running towards him, but on the way, she meets Peng Pai's colleague. She asks Wei Wei, "Didn't you go to Peng Pai's birthday party?" Wei Wei says, "I have some urgent work." Si-chong performs badly in the match and loses. Xiaorui comes first. Si-chong gets so upset that he angrily leaves the pool, and his teammates follow him. Peng Pai's colleague tells Wei Wei, "Today he was going to confess his love to you." Hearing this, Wei Wei gets shocked. She doesn't go to Peng Pai's party, but sends him a gift and says sorry in a message. When Wei Wei arrives after Si-chong's match, Daishi says, "Si-chong lost." After this, Si-chong is in his room playing a game angrily. Ding tries to explain to him, "You were distracted because of Wei Wei. That's why you lost. Otherwise, you never lose." Si-chong gets angry at him too. Wei Wei is messaging Si-chong, but then she thinks, "I'll apologize to him in person tomorrow." Si-chong is thinking, "Wei Wei hasn't sent me a single message yet. She must be enjoying Peng Pai's party." This makes him even angrier. The next morning, Wei Wei goes to meet Si-chong and brings some sports equipment for him, but Si-chong refuses to take it. Wei Wei apologizes, saying, "I couldn't come to your match." Si-chong starts to leave, so Wei Wei says, "If you behave like this, I won't help you." Si-chong says, "I don't need your help anymore," and leaves. When they meet again, Si-chong ignores Wei Wei and leaves. Seeing this, Wei Wei gets very upset. Ding says, "You didn't come to watch Si-chong's match, so he got distracted and lost. That's why he's angry with you." Hearing this, Wei Wei gets even more upset and leaves. Si-chong is not feeling well, but he still keeps practicing and thinks angrily about Wei Wei. The next day, Wei Wei is very distracted. Just then, the introduction of the new student union president happens. The president's assistant says, "Your boyfriend is quite good. He exposed the old president." Wei Wei says, "He's not my boyfriend." Hearing this, the assistant says, "Really? Si-chong is not your boyfriend?" Hearing this, Wei Wei starts thinking and realizes that it was Si-chong, not Peng Pai, who exposed the old president. This is why he was already upset. Just then, Wei Wei is thinking about all this and makes an excuse to leave. Then we see Junjun with her friends. Just then, Xiaorui comes to talk to her. Junjun's friend realizes that Sparkle and Xiaorui are her boyfriends and leaves them alone. Xiaorui asks Junjun, "Will you go to the convenience store with me?" Junjun agrees. At the store, Junjun apologizes to Xiaorui and says, "I was very nervous that day, so I pointed at you and said I liked you." Xiaorui says, "I already knew that. I was also an introvert like you, and it was difficult to talk to people. Seeing you reminds me of my past. I want to be your friend." Hearing this, Junjun happily hugs him and they become friends. Meanwhile, we see Wei Wei arriving at Si-chong's place, but standing outside, thinking about how to talk to him. When she goes inside, she sees Si-chong lying unconscious by the pool. She tries to wake him up, but when he doesn't, she starts giving him CPR. Si-chong regains consciousness a bit and starts remembering some things upon seeing Wei Wei. Then he kisses Wei Wei and asks, "Was it you?" But then he loses consciousness again. When Si-chong wakes up in the hospital, he sees Wei Wei sleeping next to him. Here, we see a flashback where a child was about to have an accident on the road. Si-chong saved the child but injured his knee and fainted there. Wei Wei had given him an electric shock at that time and saved his life. This means Wei Wei had saved Si-chong in the past. In the present, Si-chong sees that Wei Wei is about to wake up, so he pretends to sleep. Wei Wei wakes up and sees that Si-chong's fever is gone, so she starts to leave. But Si-chong holds her hand and says, "Do you remember saving someone's life in high school?" Wei Wei says, "How do you know this?" Si-chong is about to answer, but then his friends arrive. Then Wei Wei gets a call from Peng Pai, inviting her to lunch in the canteen. Wei Wei starts to leave and says to Si-chong, "I'll bring something for you too." Hearing this, Si-chong gets angry again. Wei Wei meets Peng Pai and apologizes for not coming to his birthday party. Peng Pai says, "Did you go to watch Si-chong's match? Do you like him?" When Wei Wei goes back to Si-chong, she sees that he has already left. Ding and his friend tell Wei Wei Si-chong is angry and he's not feeling well, but he went to the dormitory. Hearing this, Wei Wei gets worried about Si-chong. Then Ding and his friend take Wei Wei to the dormitory but cover her with clothes so that no one sees her. It's a funny scene. When Wei Wei reaches Si-chong's room, she's a little stunned. She brings lunch for him. Si-chong angrily asks, "You met Peng Pai just now, right? What did you talk about?" Wei Wei says, "I was apologizing for not going to his birthday party." Hearing this, Si-chong happily says, "You didn't go to his party?" Wei Wei says, "Yes, but why are you so happy?" Then Wei Wei says, "You lost the match and are sick, so don't stress too much." Si-chong says, "As long as you're with me and watch all my matches, I'll always win." Wei Wei asks, "Why?" Si-chong is about to say that he likes her but stops and says, "I'll get some water bottles," and goes outside. Outside, he feels very happy. Meanwhile, Ding tells Daishi that Wei Wei is in Si-chong's room taking care of him. Hearing this, Daishi says, "That's not possible. He doesn't like Wei Wei." Ding says, "Why are you feeling jealous?" Wei Wei gets bored in the room. Then she goes to see a robot but accidentally drops a bag. In the bag, she finds a file. When she is about to look at the file, Si-chong arrives. Si-chong sees the report and runs to Wei Wei to get it from her. Wei Wei moves away. Then Wei Wei remembers that Si-chong went to the data room for this report that day. She asks, "Why did you steal the examination report?" Si-chong says, "I didn't steal it, just borrowed it." Wei Wei says, "You call this borrowing? Why did you do it?" Si-chong says, "I didn't want anyone to see my report, especially the national team people. If they saw it, they wouldn't take me on the team. Don't worry, my knee is fine now." Wei Wei holds his hand and says, "Let's go to the data room," to return the report and tells him that he knows how serious this is. They reach the data room, but they don't have the key. So Wei Wei uses her power to open the door, and Si-chong says, "What did you do?" Wei Wei says, "Don't worry, someone repaired it before." Si-chong says, "That means you've been here before." But just then, they hear someone coming, so they quickly go inside the room. Wei Wei starts to move away because she is very close to Si-chong, but Si-chong pulls her close and says, "You were the one in the data room last time, right? Good thing it wasn't someone else." After that, they have dinner together, where Wei Wei says, "Why did you tell me your secret?" Si-chong says, "I can trust you because you told me your secret too." Hearing this, Wei Wei starts smiling. The next day, Lee asks his 3 classmates to participate in the sports team, but they refuse. Wei Wei says, "Can you teach me a little about knee therapy?" Lee says, "That's in the 2nd semester." Wei Wei says, "No problem, I want to know about it." So Lee starts teaching her. Wei Wei starts working hard to collect information so that she can help fix Si-chong's knee after learning all this. When Si-chong meets Wei Wei, he says, "What's wrong with you? Look, you even have doctor skills now." Wei Wei says, "I was studying all this to help you, although it won't help much. Lin comes from a family that practices acupuncture, so he will definitely help you." Si-chong refuses and says he doesn't need it. Meanwhile, Xiaorui calls Junjun to meet her, where he gives her a sticker of her favorite anime character. Just then, Si-chong's mom arrives, looking for him because he wasn't picking up her call. Xiaorui tells her that he went to the teacher's office. When Si-chong goes to the teacher's office, he gets scolded for hiding his reports. The teacher even finds out that he has a knee injury. Because of his actions, disciplinary action could be taken against him. The teacher scolds him and leaves. Si-chong says nothing. While Wei Wei is waiting outside, Si-chong's mom, Junjun, and Xiaorui arrive. When Si-chong comes out, his mom scolds him and tells him to go to the hospital for a checkup. She also takes Wei Wei and says that Si-chong feels secure when she's with him. Hearing this, Junjun gets upset, and Xiaorui feels bad seeing her. At the hospital, Si-chong's mom brought him not for a checkup, but for treatment. There, she takes Wei Wei outside and says that Si-chong trusts her. That's why he told her his secret. Wei Wei thinks she will take better care of Si-chong. The next day, everyone finds out about Si-chong's injury from a college notice, which makes Wei Wei worried about him. Then she gets a message from Peng Pai inviting her to lunch. There, Wei Wei says, "I don't know the details. Will your company still sign him?" Peng Pai says, "I can't say anything right now." Then Wei Wei goes to Lin and says, "Can you give Si-chong a massage?" Lin happily agrees and says, "But you have to participate in the sports competition, in the relay race." Wei Wei agrees. Meanwhile, Si-chong feels pain while practicing. The coach scolds him, saying, "You hid your injury and are running away from the truth." After the coach leaves, Si-chong receives a message from Peng Pai saying he will still sign him, but Si-chong throws his contract letter in the trash. Wei Wei goes to Peng Pai and asks, "Can you introduce Sun Yang to Si Chong? I think Sun Yang can help Si Chong in his current situation." Peng Pai says, "It's a difficult task, but I'll try my best." Wei Wei goes to Si Chong's classroom, but he's not there. Ding says, "He went home, he's not talking to anyone, and his phone is off." Hearing this, Wei Wei gets very worried about Si Chong and says, "I don't know how Si Chong's knee will heal." Ding says, "Maybe Si Chong's knee won't recover as it was before, but if he undergoes rehabilitation massage, it will heal enough." Hearing this, Wei Wei gets an idea, and with Ding's help, starts moving Lin's stuff to Si Chong's room so that she can stay with him, give him massages, and heal his injury quickly. Wei Wei goes to Si Chong's house, where Si Chong's mom is very happy to see her. Then she takes her to Si Chong's room and says, "Si Chong has locked himself in his room for 2 days and isn't talking to anyone." As soon as Si Chong hears Wei Wei's voice in his room, he quickly starts cleaning his messy room so Wei Wei doesn't see him like that. When his mom brings Wei Wei inside, Si Chong asks, "What are you doing here?" Just then, his mom leaves them alone to get some fruits. Wei Wei says, "You should go back to college," but he refuses. Wei Wei keeps insisting, but Si Chong keeps refusing. Wei Wei tries to take his toy to convince him, and in the process, she accidentally falls on top of him. Now they are very close to each other and feeling nervous when Si Chong's mom comes back with fruits. Seeing them in that position, she says, "Sorry," and leaves. When Si Chong comes out of the room, his mom says, "You're doing all this very quickly." Si Chong tries to explain to his mom that she is misunderstanding, but his mom says, "You be quiet." Meanwhile, Wei Wei starts to leave, but his mom stops her and takes her downstairs to show her photo albums with many of Si Chong's childhood photos. They laugh a lot seeing them, and poor Si Chong feels embarrassed, so he somehow sends his mom to yoga classes. Wei Wei asks, "Why do you like swimming so much?" Si Chong says, "I don't remember any specific reason, but Miss Ling liked me at first sight in childhood and picked me for swimming. She was my coach and thought I would win many medals, but now my condition has worsened." Hearing this, Wei Wei says, "Let's go meet Miss Ling." When they go to meet Miss Ling, she's very happy to see Si Chong and asks, "Is she your girlfriend?" Si Chong says, "No, she's my classmate." Then they go for dinner, where Si Chong says, "I got an injury, and now my future looks uncertain." Hearing all this, Miss Ling gives him a note and says, "I have full faith that you will become a swimming champion and go far." Hearing this, Si Chong feels a bit encouraged and drinks with Mr. Liang. After dinner, when Si Chong is sending Mr. Liang home in a taxi, he says, "Take care of your girlfriend. You can't fool me." Saying this, he leaves. After they leave, Wei Wei also goes to get yogurt for Si Chong because she had also drunk a lot. Meanwhile, Si Chong takes out the letter he gave to Miss Ling during school time. In it, he wrote that he would never give up on swimming. Now, both of them are talking to each other in the taxi on their way home, where Wei Wei says, "The Si Chong I know is very confident and will never give up on swimming." When they reach the college, Si Chong puts on a cap because he feels very embarrassed to face people. He takes Wei Wei inside the college through a quiet and long path. Seeing this, Wei Wei says, "Why are you taking me from here and take off this cap now?" Si Chong says, "No, I won't take it off. I look cool in it." As soon as Wei Wei mentions Ding's name, Si Chong goes behind her and stays quiet. Wei Wei says, "Are you afraid to face Ding? Are you feeling so embarrassed?" Si Chong quickly says, "No, I'm not feeling any embarrassment." Wei Wei says, "Okay, then why are you taking me from this path?" Si Chong says, "Because I wanted to spend some extra time with you." Saying this, he walks ahead, and Wei Wei follows him. When Wei Wei comes to the dorm, she is very happy. Daishi says, "Why are you so happy today?" Wei Wei says, "I successfully brought Si Chong inside the college." Hearing this, Jun also feels happy. Yuxin says, "Why do you all think so much about Si Chong?" Daishi says, "Because he is so handsome. Although many boys in our college are handsome except Ding, and your class monitor Lin, he's also quite handsome." Hearing this, Yuxin says, "You can say anything about Ding, but don't say anything about Lin." Just then, they get a message from Lin saying, "Practice for the race tomorrow morning. We still need one more girl to participate." Wei Wei thinks Yuxin didn't participate, but Jun says, "I didn't participate." Hearing this, everyone is surprised at how Yuxin agreed to participate in the race. And that was because she also started liking Lin. After that, we see Si Chong with Ding. Ding says, "Si Chong has changed a lot." Si Chong says, "Yes, I've become more handsome than before." Ding says, "No, that's not what I meant. Now you only listen to Wei Wei. As a best friend, I feel quite useless." Hearing this, Si Chong says, "All right, I'll buy you a game to make it up to you." Ding says, "Si Chong, do you think you can buy me with a game?" Si Chong says, "All right, I'll pay for the food too." But Ding still doesn't agree. Si Chong says, "This is my final offer." Then Ding says, "All right, I forgive you." Just then, Lin says from behind, "If you two are done, can I start my work? Wei Wei asked me to give you a massage for practice." Hearing this, Si-chong feels nervous. Then we only hear his screams. The next morning, Wei Wei is running and is very happy, because this time, no electricity is coming out of her body. She remembers her old school days when she used to run with her dad. She used to feel very happy while running. Now, as Wei Wei is about to fall tired to the ground, Si-chong comes from behind and saves her head from hitting the ground. Seeing Si-chong so close, Wei Wei feels a little nervous. She asks, "What are you doing here?" Si-chong says, "I told you we would train together." Wei Wei says, "My training is over and I'm very tired now." Si-chong puts her on his back and says, "That'll be 80 yuan. Wei Wei says, "It should be free." Si-chong says, "Now I'll increase it by 20 yuan. Hearing this, Wei Wei starts pushing him and they joke around. Meanwhile, we see Yuxin sitting in the classroom. Just then, Li Lin comes and asks her, "Did you have breakfast?" Yuxin says, "No." So Lin takes out his breakfast. Yuxin thinks he brought it for her, but he starts eating it himself. Seeing this, Yuxin gets very angry. Meanwhile, Wei Wei and Si-chong are together when Wei Wei gets a message from Peng Pai. Wei Wei holds Si-chong's hand and quickly takes him to the pool, saying, "There's a surprise for you." As soon as Si-chong sees Peng Pai there, but then Sun Yang comes out from behind, and seeing him, Si-chong is surprised. Peng Pai says, "You guys talk. Wei Wei and I will get some drinks." Saying this, he leaves with Wei Wei. Si-chong goes inside the pool with Sun Yang. Wei Wei thanks Peng Pai for bringing Sun Yang to the college. Peng Pai asks her, "Do you care so much about Si-chong?" Wei Wei smiles and says, "Forget it, who cares about him?" Meanwhile, Sun Yang says to Si-chong, "You've changed a lot." Actually, Sun Yang knew Si-chong since he gave him an award in childhood. Si-chong happily says, "I'll always regret that you retired so early. I didn't get a chance to compete with you." Sun Yang says, "No problem, let's do it now." Si-chong says, "But you have an injury, right?" Sun Yang says, "No problem." But Si-chong says, "They both compete, and I win." Then Sun Yang tells him, "Wei Wei called me for new training and told me all about your condition." Sun Yang asks, "Is she your girlfriend?" Si-chong denies it, and Sun Yang says, "All right, no problem. Then I'll do something because she's very cute." But Si-chong says, No, I mean, she's not my girlfriend yet." Hearing this, Sun Yang laughs. Si-chong says, "Wei Wei is my inspiration." Here, Sun Yang tells him some things that help Si-chong find his answers about what he should do. Then we see Yuxin, who is very angry and goes to Lin because she thought he called her for running practice for sports day. Daishi and many others find out that Sun Yang has come to their college because someone took his photo and posted it on the internet. Because of this, his fans gather outside the pool area. When Peng Pai and Wei Wei find out, they go inside and tell everyone. Then they plan, and Si-chong wears Sun Yang's clothes and goes out to divert the fans. Wei Wei thanks Sun Yang and apologizes because he got into trouble because of her. Then she goes to Si-chong. Poor Si-chong was troubled because people were chasing him. He finally hides somewhere. Daishi was very excited to see Sun Yang and tells Ding, "Because of you, I couldn't meet Sun Yang." Ding tells her, "That was Si-chong." Daishi says, "How do you know?" Ding says, "I sleep with him, so how wouldn't I know?" Then he says, "Come on, I'll take you to eat strawberry cake." Daishi gets happy. Meanwhile, Peng Pai tries to get Sun Yang out of the college, but some fans come there too. He finally manages to get him out. Poor Si-chong was sitting quietly when Wei Wei comes and says, "It looks like everyone has left." As soon as Si-chong starts to leave with her, some more people come there. Si-chong suddenly pulls Wei Wei close, making her very nervous. After everyone leaves, Wei Wei says, "Let's go eat something." When Si-chong holds her hand, he gets shocked because Wei Wei's heartbeat was fast. Hearing this, she gets happy. And then we see Lin announcing in the class, "Junjun is participating in the race." Hearing this, everyone gets very happy. Wei Wei says, "I'll buy you snacks for the whole year to thank you." Junjun thanks her and says, "Why are you talking like Si-chong?" But Wei Wei doesn't understand. Now inside the room, Wei Wei is talking to Daishi, saying that Junjun is participating in the race because of Si-chong. Daishi hears this and says, "Are you jealous? Anyway, you haven't shocked Si-chong for a long time, yet see how much he likes you." Wei Wei says nothing and blushes. Daishi says, "You like Si-chong too, right? And don't worry, if he never thanks you, I'll tell Ding to poison him." Wei Wei says, "Forget about me. Tell me about yourself. Since you met Ding, you haven't asked me to shock any guy even once." Hearing this, Daishi blushes and starts doing her makeup. Then we see Wei Wei waiting outside Si-chong's dorm because she wanted to give him a gift. As soon as Si-chong arrives, Wei Wei starts hiding the gift. Si-chong tries to snatch the gift from her, making them very close to each other. Wei Wei gives him the gift and says, "You always help me, so I wanted to give you something." Si-chong opens the gift and says, "This is so ugly." Wei Wei says, "If it's so ugly, give it back to me," and tries to snatch the gift. But she suddenly falls on Si Chong, and they keep looking at each other. Just then, Xia Rui arrives, and they separate, and Si Chong smiles. The next morning, the 4 team members go running together. Poor Lin gets tired, but the rest keep practicing. After practice, they come to the dorm and have breakfast. Junjun says to Wei Wei, "I'll have breakfast with you downstairs today." Wei Wei says, "There will be a lot of people there." Junjun says, "No problem. There will be a lot of people on race day too, so I'll practice from now." While having breakfast downstairs, Junjun nervously puts only cabbage on her plate. Wei Wei exchanges her breakfast, and Junjun thanks her and says she doesn't feel as nervous now. At night, Junjun is practicing running. She gets tired and stops. So Xia Rui comes to her and says, "You don't like running, so why are you working so hard?" Junjun says, "I promised everyone that I would do my best." Xia Rui starts running with her. The next morning, the race is about to start. Wei Wei is nervous because she is afraid it might rain. Si Chong says, "Don't worry, I've checked, it won't rain." Then we see Peng Pai getting a weather update on his phone that it's going to rain. He quickly reaches the race location. The race starts, and Junjun is very nervous. Xia Rui says, "Don't be nervous, I'm with you." When Junjun takes her turn, Xia Rui runs with her. It starts raining, and Si Chong tells Wei Wei not to race. But Wei Wei says, "I have to do this." In the end, the team loses, but Wei Wei completes the race and falls. Everyone comes to help her, but Wei Wei says, "Stay away from me, my electricity is out of control." Si Chong hugs Wei Wei without thinking. Peng Pai and the others watch them. Si Chong says to Wei Wei, "I'll always be with you." Wei Wei thanks him, and Si Chong says, "I love you," and kisses her. Wei Wei also says, "I love you too," and hugs him. Si Chong just keeps looking at Wei Wei. Wei Wei tells him to go to his dorm because he has a match tomorrow, but Si Chong wants to spend more time with her. Still, Wei Wei tells him to go, so Si Chong holds her hand and kisses her. Wei Wei blushes and leaves. The next morning, Si Chong's team leaves the college for the swimming match. Then we see Wei Wei going to watch the match. On the way, she meets Ping Pai and his colleague, but they don't talk much, and Wei Wei leaves. Ping Pai's colleague says to him, "I know how much you like Wei Wei. Why don't you share your feelings with her?" Just then, Ping Pai gets a message that their boss, Mr. Zhang, is resigning. Hearing this, Ping Pai runs to the company. Si Chong's team reaches the competition venue where Wei Wei and her friends have already arrived. Wei Wei says good luck to Si Chong and kisses him, and Si Chong hugs her. Si Chong's parents have also come to watch the match. Si Chong swims fast and comes first, while Xia Rui comes second. Seeing this, everyone is very happy. Then we see Peng Pai asking his boss why he resigned. The boss says he is retiring, wants to spend time with his daughter, and wishes Peng Pai good luck for the future. To celebrate the victory, Si Chong takes everyone to the VIP hot springs. Everyone is very happy because it's their first time there. Si Chong takes Wei Wei outside and holds her hand. Wei Wei gets shocked, but Si Chong says, "Don't worry, get used to it, I'll keep holding your hand now." Wei Wei holds his hand and says, "Once you get shocked, it doesn't happen again." Si Chong pulls her close and is about to kiss her, but their friends come and start having fun. Wei Wei blushes and runs away. Then everyone goes to a stall where Yuxin and Lin pick up lovers' cards. If they write their names on the cards, they will stay together for a lifetime. Daishi sees a fortune stick that says she meets her lover daily. Seeing this, she gets shocked. When Ding starts looking, she holds his hand and takes him away. Wei Wei is about to look at a fortune stick, but Si Chong says, "Tell me your wish and I'll make it come true." Wei Wei says, "I want to change my major, so I want to know about the future." Si Chong says, "Whatever you do, I'll support you." At dinner, Si Chong makes a special plate for Wei Wei with "I love you" written through the food. Everyone says, Si Chong is very romantic. Wei Wei smiles, but Junjun gets angry. Then everyone plays a card game. On Ding's turn, he has to put on lipstick. On Si Chong's turn, he is told to kiss Wei Wei. Si Chong tells everyone to close their eyes, but they all secretly watch. Si Chong says to Wei Wei, "This kiss is just for the game," and kisses her with his finger between their lips. Everyone is happy, but Junjun and Xia Rui are upset. Xia Rui distributes the cards randomly and says that those with cards A and F have to hug. Junjun and Si Chong get these cards. Ding asks Wei Wei, "You don't mind, right?" Wei Wei says, "I have no problem." Si Chong gives Junjun a side hug like a childhood friend. Junjun is happy and makes an excuse to leave. Xia Rui follows her. Junjun says to Xia Rui, "You did all this on purpose for me, right? Don't do it again." Si Chong and Wei Wei like each other and look good together. Late at night, Si Chong takes Wei Wei to the garden area and arranges fireflies for her. He says to Wei Wei that this is his first relationship and he wants to make everything special for her. Wei Wei gets emotional hearing this and kisses him. Just then, fireworks start. and they enjoy the moment. The next morning, everyone returns from the hot spring, and Si-chong tells Wei Wei that he is going for training for a few days. Wei Wei refuses to spend more time with him. Daishi and Wei Wei return to the dorm, and Daishi asks her, "What happened last night?" But Wei Wei doesn't say anything. Daishi jokingly tells Ding to keep an eye on Si-chong. Drunk Peng Pai meets Wei Wei and pressures her, but Wei Wei starts calling Si-chong. Si-chong arrives just in time, hits Peng Pai, and warns him, "Stay away from Wei Wei." Then Si-chong is about to join the provisional team, and his mom is packing all his stuff. Before leaving the house, Si-chong picks up a yogurt candy he had kept for Wei Wei. When he reaches outside, he sees Wei Wei waiting for him. He gives her the candy, and then Wei Wei eats it herself. Si-chong quickly puts his stuff in the taxi and starts to leave, so Wei Wei goes to him and says, "Video call me every day, eat well and sleep well." Si-chong casually says bye and leaves, which makes Wei Wei a little sad. But then Si-chong runs back and hugs Wei Wei from behind. Seeing this, Wei Wei becomes happy. Then he says a proper goodbye and leaves. When Si-chong reaches the provisional team, he is told all the rules. One of the rules is that everyone's phones will be collected and can only be used for a short time during the day. When Wei Wei's call comes at that time, Si-chong wants to pick it up, but his phone is taken away. Wei Wei messages him asking if he has arrived, but Si-chong can't reply, which makes Wei Wei a little sad. The next day, Si-chong video calls Wei Wei. Then we see Daishi, who is very nervous because she is going to confess her love to Deng the next day. When she reaches Ding, he is waiting for her outside the theater. There, Daishi gives him a chocolate box, and Deng asks, "What does this mean?" Daishi says, "It means I love you." Saying this, she starts to leave, but Deng stops her. Accidentally, the popcorn flies in the air, creating a romantic moment. Deng asks her, "Does this mean I'm your boyfriend now?" Daishi says yes, and kisses him on the cheeks. Then they go to watch the movie. After the movie, Deng is very shy about holding Daishi's hand, so Daishi holds his hand herself. Now, because of the holidays, Wei Wei is at home, so Daishi and Ding call her because Si-chong asked Ding to plan a surprise for Wei Wei. Wei Wei is feeling a little unwell, so Ding and Daishi take care of her. Si-chong also tells Ding to bring medicine for Wei Wei. After resting, Wei Wei feels a little better. Then the director calls Si-chong and says, "Someone reported that you took drugs to treat your injury quickly." Si-chong says, "Yes, I was injured, but I treated it with rehabilitation, not drugs." The director says that he will have to take a drug test before joining the provisional team, to which Si-chong agrees. After this, Wei Wei misses Si-chong a lot, so Junjun suggests that she go to meet him. Wei Wei goes to the training camp to meet him. As soon as she sees Si-chong, she hugs him. Si-chong introduces her to his team members, and they all say that many girls here hit on Si-chong. Si-chong gives her a training jacket and says, "If anyone approaches you, show them this jacket." Then he kisses Wei Wei, and they have a good time together. A month passes, and Si-chong is about to return from the training camp. Wei Wei goes to pick him up, but Xiao Rui says he is still at the training camp. Hearing this, Wei Wei feels a little sad. Si-chong's mom and dad come to pick him up and invite him to dinner, but Si-chong refuses because he had to meet Wei Wei. On the other hand, we see Wei Wei, who is quite sad. She was messaging Si-chong, but he wasn't replying. Just then, Si-chong suddenly grabs her hand and stops her, saying, "Did you miss me?" But Wei Wei was angry. She starts to leave, but Si-chong pulls her back and hugs her, apologizing for not replying to her messages. Wei Wei asks him, "Are you hiding something from me?" Si-chong denies it, and they head to the cafeteria to eat. In the cafeteria, Daishi says to Ding, "When are we going to tell everyone about our relationship?" Ding says, "I'm feeling quite embarrassed." Daishi asks him, "Are you feeling embarrassed dating me?" Just then, Si-chong and Wei Wei arrive. Seeing them, Ding feels happy, but Daishi gets angry and leaves. Ding follows her. Then Si-chong tells Wei Wei, "Someone reported that I took drugs to treat my injury, but don't worry, everything will be clear after the drug test." Wei Wei asks him, "Why didn't you tell me such a serious thing earlier?" Si-chong says, "I wanted to tell you in person." Then they go for the drug test. On the way, they plan what they will do all day. When they reach the hospital, Wei Wei goes to the washroom and Si-chong waits for his turn. Just then, he receives a message that makes him very worried. When Wei Wei returns, he tells her, "I got a message from the professional team that I need to take the drug test at another hospital." Saying this, he takes Wei Wei away from there. Then Wei Wei takes him to her home. Upon reaching, Si-chong says, "Is it okay for me to come to your house like this?" and starts thinking something else. Wei Wei says, "Don't overthink. I just brought you here to feed you homemade food." You've been away from home for a long time and probably haven't eaten well. While Wei Wei is cooking, Si-chong watches the video someone sent him. In the video, Wei Wei shocked a security guard. The person also told Si-chong that if he didn't want the video to go viral, he shouldn't take the drug test. This is why Si-chong was so worried, but he doesn't tell Wei Wei about it. Then Wei Wei brings the food. As soon as Si-chong eats it, it tastes terrible. But Si-chong still praises her cooking, so Wei Wei brings more food for him. Si-chong says, "Can I pack this and take it with me? Because I'll want to eat it later, it's very tasty." But Wei Wei says, "No, the food is hot now, so eat it now. I want to see you eat. I'll cook for you again later." Poor Si-chong eats all the food. While washing the dishes, he thinks, "I need to learn how to cook too, or we'll both starve." Meanwhile, he remembers the moment when Wei Wei told him she didn't want people to know about her electrifying power because they would misunderstand her. Then Si-chong sees Wei Wei's school photo and asks, "Where are you in this?" Wei Wei says, "After the whole incident, I felt very embarrassed to face my classmates. So I took this photo myself, and I'm not in it." Hearing this, Si-chong says, "You've been through a lot in the past, but I'll take good care of you in the future." When Si-chong is going home, he gets a call from his coach, which he doesn't pick up. After that, we see Ding, who goes to Daishi with crops to make up with her. But she is very angry and says, "Why don't you tell everyone about our relationship? Do you have another girlfriend?" Ding says, No, you are my only girlfriend. I feel like I'm not worthy of you. I'm not a swimming champion like Si-chong, not good at studies like Lin, and even Jiarui is better than me. Then there's me who can't do anything except cook." Daishi laughs and says, "Is that all? I can't swim either, nor am I good at studies. And I already knew all these things about you. I like you because you are a good person." Hearing this, Ding also starts smiling. Then he feeds her crops with his hands, and they spend a good time together. At night, we see Si-chong at his home, where his mom asks him about the drug test. "When will the results come?" Si-chong says, "It will take time." Then she asks, "Why didn't you bring Wei Wei home? I haven't seen her for a long time." After saying this, his mom leaves, and Si-chong thinks about who could have done all this. Then he remembers that Peng Pai also knows about Wei Wei's powers, so maybe he is doing all this for revenge. Si-chong tries to find information about that number, but finds nothing. And because he wasn't picking up the coach's call, the coach directly calls his home. Si-chong's mom picks up the phone. The coach tells her, Si-chong didn't go for the drug test. If he doesn't take the drug test, he will be expelled. Hearing this, his mom is shocked. The next day, news spreads in the college that Si-chong takes drugs. When Ding hears this, he gets very angry and stops the boys from spreading such news. Just then, Xiaorui also arrives. Ding asks him about it, to which Xiaorui says, "We shouldn't believe such news." Then we see Wei Wei, who is repeatedly messaging Si-chong, but he doesn't reply. This makes Wei Wei very worried. Just then, Daishi gets a message from Ding, who tells her, Si-chong isn't picking up anyone's call and didn't take the drug test. Because of this, news about him has spread in the college. Ding says, "Try not to let Wei Wei know about this, or she will also get worried." Daishi tells Wei Wei not to worry too much and says, "Everything will be fine." Meanwhile, Si-chong's parents ask him, "Why didn't you take the drug test?" Si-chong explains to them, "Trust me, I didn't do anything wrong, but I didn't take the drug test for some reason, which I can't tell you." Then he leaves without having breakfast. Peng Pai learns from Sun Yang that someone reported Si-chong for taking drugs, and he had to take a drug test for it, but he didn't go for the drug test. Hearing this, Peng Pai is also shocked and tells Sun Yang, "Talk to Si-chong." When Peng Pai goes outside, Si-chong is waiting for him there. Then we see Wei Wei, who is still very worried about Si-chong. Today, while talking to Daishi, Wei Wei tells her, "I already knew about Ding and Daishi's relationship." When Si-chong is coming back, he gets a call from the coach. The coach asks him to meet at the college, to which he agrees. Meanwhile, Wei Wei is still waiting for Si-chong's message. Just then, Si-chong comes to her, and seeing him, Wei Wei asks, "Why weren't you replying to my messages, and is there something you're hiding from me?" Si-chong says, "Don't overthink, there's nothing like that. My drug test is going to happen again next week." When Wei Wei is having lunch in the cafeteria, Si-chong's mom calls her to meet. At that time, Yusin and Lin also arrive. Wei Wei tells them, "Tell the teacher I might be a little late for class." Saying this, she leaves. Lin had specially made something for Yuxin today, which makes her very happy. When Wei Wei meets Si-chong's mom, she asks her, "Can you convince Si-chong to take the drug test?" Wei Wei says, "I went to the hospital with him for the drug test, but he got a message from the provisional team that the hospital had changed." Si-chong's mom says, "There was no such thing. Si-chong deliberately didn't take the drug test." Hearing this, Wei Wei is shocked. Si-chong's mom says, "This is about his career, please convince him to take the drug test." Wei Wei agrees. After his mom leaves, Wei Wei calls Si-chong, but his phone is switched off. Then she calls Ding and asks where Si-chong is. Ding says he went to meet Peng Pai. Wei Wei quickly goes to meet Ping Pai. There, she asks him, what happened between you and Si Chong? Ping Pai says, didn't Si Chong tell you about this? At that time, we see Si Chong telling Ping Pai, you were the one who sent me that video. But Ping Pai doesn't understand what he is talking about. Si Chong shows him the video, and Ping Pai says, did you not take the drug test because of this? If I wanted to expose Wei Wei's truth, I had many opportunities before. I've known about her since high school. Yes, it's true that I don't like you, but I would never hurt Wei Wei. Then Ping Pai asks him, does Wei Wei know about this? Si Chong says, no. Ping Pai asks, when is the drug test deadline? Si Chong says, in 3 days. Hearing this, Ping Pai says, whoever this person is, they want to ruin you. I don't know what will happen to Wei Wei's life if this video gets disclosed. Hearing this, Si Chong decides to quit swimming. He says, I can choose any career option, but if this video comes out, Wei Wei's life will be ruined. Although swimming is his dream, Wei Wei is his happiness. Hearing this, Ping Pai says, I'll help you disclose this person's identity, for which Si Chong thanks him. Ping Pai says, I don't need your thanks because you can do for Wei Wei what I can't. Saying this, he leaves. After learning the whole truth, Wei Wei starts to leave, but Ping Pai stops her and apologizes. After this, we see Miss scolding Si Chong a lot because he didn't take the drug test. The coach says, I have full confidence in my team, and they don't take drugs. Miss says, I trust you all too, but to prove Si Chong innocent, he has to take the test. The coach says, someone must be framing Si Chong, and is there any other way to prove him innocent? Miss says, this is the only way, and if he hasn't taken drugs, I don't understand why he is having trouble taking the test. Just then, Wei Wei comes running and says to Miss Maling, I'll do anything to prove Si Chong innocent, please give us some time. So Miss Maling leaves. Wei Wei starts to leave angrily, and Si Chong follows her, trying to calm her down. Wei Wei says, why didn't you tell me about all this earlier? Si Chong says, I didn't tell you because you get stressed. Wei Wei says, how can you ruin your career because of me? Swimming is very important to you. Si Chong says, you are also very important to me. And don't worry, we still have 3 days. I won't give up until I find this person. Wei Wei says, from now on, you have to promise me that you won't hide anything from me, to which he agrees. Now they both go to the same place at night, thinking about who could have done all this. And is there someone who might have secretly taken a video of Wei Wei? Just then, Wei Wei thinks, could it be the guard? So they go to ask the night guard about it. He says, this psycho has already been sent to jail, and it's impossible for him to get out. Just then, Si Chong asks, did anyone come here to get the footage from that day? The guard says, there was a boy with you who came. Hearing this, they are both shocked. The next morning, Wei Wei goes to Dai Shi and asks, did you tell anyone about my secret? Dai Shi denies it. Wei Wei whispers everything to her, and she is also shocked. Then they ask Ding, is there anyone on your team who could be doing this against Si Chong? But he says, that's not possible. We are all good friends. Now they go to ask people who met Wei Wei that day when the psycho was following her. Wei Wei says, I met Xia Rui. Hearing this, they are shocked. On the other hand, Peng Pai tells Si Chong, this SIM card was bought near your college, and the person who sent you the video is one of your teammates. He wants to ruin you. Si Chong says, I can't believe this. Peng Pai says, Xia Rui was also there that day, and he is the only person who would benefit the most from you being removed from the swimming team, because he always comes second and you come first. If you can't enter the provisional team, he will take your place. Hearing all this, Si Chong gets worried. He goes to Xia Rui, and they have a confrontation. Xia Rui says, do you want to ruin your career or Wei Wei's life? Because if everyone finds out that she is electric furious, what will happen to her? Hearing this, Si Chong gets very angry and starts beating Xia Rui. They get into a fight, but then Deng and the others come and stop them. Outside, Wei Wei and the others are also running towards them. Seeing Xia Rui, Wei Wei leaves angrily, and Xia Rui lowers his head and leaves. Deng asks Si Chong, why were you fighting with Xia Rui? Si Chong says, I treated him like a friend, but he is the one who reported cheating against me. Just then, Wei Wei also arrives and asks Si Chong, are you okay? Si Chong says, yes. After that, we see Xia Rui. Everyone sits together and talks about Xia Rui. Wei Wei is about to say how Xia Rui blackmailed Si Chong, but Daishi stops her. Deng asks Daishi, do you know something? Wei Wei tries to tell the truth again, but Si Chong makes an excuse to get water and takes her aside. Wei Wei says to Si Chong, if we tell everyone the truth, Xia Rui won't be able to blackmail you. Si Chong says, I know you care about me, but I can't put you at risk. Don't worry, we'll find a solution to this problem. When Xia Rui comes into the room, Deng says to him, why did you do all this? You'll never be able to beat Si Chong. They are about to fight, but Lin stops them. As Xia Rui is leaving the room, Wei Wei meets him and says, leave me and Si Chong alone. if we can't be friends, let's not be enemies either. Xiaorui says, the only way for me to get into the provisional team is to remove Si-chong from my path. Wei Wei goes to her doctor and says, I want to undergo the therapy you mentioned to eliminate the electricity in my body. The doctor says that therapy is still in trial and risky. Do your parents know? Wei Wei lies and says, yes, and says, this is my last hope. The doctor agrees to the therapy. After the therapy, Wei Wei returns to the dorm and collapses outside her room. Daishi and her friends take her inside. When Wei Wei wakes up, she is at home, and Si-chong is sitting next to her. Wei Wei tells Si-chong, my electricity is gone, and kisses him. Si-chong sees that there is no electricity, and he is surprised. Just then, Wei Wei's parents come in, having heard the news. Wei Wei tells them that she went to the doctor and underwent therapy. Hearing this, her parents first get angry at her for undergoing such a risky surgery, but then they are happy because her electricity is gone. Seeing Si-chong holding Wei Wei's hand, Wei Wei's dad takes him outside to talk. Wei Wei follows them. Outside, Wei Wei's dad asks Si-chong for an introduction, and when he hesitates, her dad says, can such a person be trusted? Hearing this, Si-chong directly says, I like Wei Wei. Hearing this, Wei Wei blushes. Her dad says, you should focus on your studies right now. And before he can say more, Wei Wei's mom pulls him away. Then we see Xiaorui reading a message from Junjun, asking him to admit his mistake. Just then, Deng comes into the locker room with some boys, and Daishi messages him saying, Wei Wei has solved the problem. Si-chong is going to take the drug test, and even if Xiaorui releases Wei Wei's video, no one will believe him. Then Wei Wei takes Si-chong for the drug test. The doctor tells them to come back tomorrow and to get the form signed by the teacher. They start heading back, but they wait at the bus stop for a long time. No bus or taxi comes. Wei Wei gets tired and falls asleep on Si-chong's shoulder. Si-chong says to her, it's late, let's go to a hotel. They go to a hotel and ask for a room, but the receptionist says only one room is available. They reluctantly take the room. When they go inside, they see that there is only one bed. Si-chong wants to go to another room, but Wei Wei stops him and says, let it be, it's very late now. Wei Wei goes to take a shower, and Si-chong nervously sits down. After the shower, Wei Wei is drying her hair, and Si-chong helps her, and both feel awkward, so Si-chong goes to get another room and manages to find one. The next day, Wei Wei is very happy. Si-chong asks, why are you so happy? Wei Wei says, because now you're going to join the provisional team. Si-chong says, if you're so happy, let's go to Naturals Bay. Wei Wei says, I'll think about it. They go to Miss Leng to get the drug test papers signed. Miss Leng tells them the drug test date has passed and Si-chong has been removed from the provisional team. Both are shocked to hear this. Wei Wei is sad, but Si-chong comforts her, saying, it's okay, I'll join the provisional team next year. Why are you so tense? Wei Wei says, this happened because of me. Si-chong says, I told you swimming was important to me, but after you, I realized there are other things in life. Whether you have electricity or not, you'll always be my priority. Hearing this, Wei Wei kisses him, and they leave. At lunchtime, when everyone is together, Si-chong also comes and asks about Wei Wei. Daishi tells him, Wei Wei went somewhere with Yushin. Everyone is quite sad, so Si-chong says, why are you all so worried? It's okay, so what? Just then, Xiaorui also arrives, and some girls make him sit with Si-chong and say, we're still teammates. But Daishi starts taunting Xiaorui, leading to a small argument. Si-chong stops everyone and says to Xiaorui, don't you have something to say to me? He says, I've said everything, and leaves. Seeing Xiaorui like this, Junjun also feels sad. Then we see Yushin taking Wei Wei to meet her dad. Here we see that their relationship has improved a lot. She asks her dad, is there any way Si-chong can still join the professional team? Her dad tells Wei Wei to take Sun Yang's monthlies. The next day we see Xiaorui going to the notice board and seeing that the notice of his selection for the professional team is still not up. Just then, he gets a call from the coach, who calls him. Then we see Sun Yang and some members of the professional team arriving at the college. Both Xiaorui and Si-chong undergo a drug test to make the competition fair. To decide who will join the professional team, a competition is held between them. After waiting for a long time, when Xiaorui doesn't arrive, the college asks Si-chong to find him in the locker room. He doesn't find him there, but finds a note. The note says, out of jealousy, I did a lot of wrong to you and Wei Wei. I've always lost to you, so today's competition doesn't make sense. Sorry for everything I did. Then we see Si-chong's parents sitting at home, very nervous. Just then, they get a message on their phone. Dad checks the message and becomes very serious. Mom snatches the phone to see the message and reads that Si-chong has set a new record and has been selected for the provisional team. Seeing this, Mom starts hitting Dad because he scared her. Everything is fine now, and we see many people joining the rehabilitation club. Daishi is making a video of everyone, and Wei Wei is giving someone a massage. Wei Wei is no longer going to change her major. Just then, Si-chong comes and hugs her. They talk and leave. Seeing Wei Wei smile, Si-chong asks, "Why are you smiling so much?" "Oh, I get it. Your boyfriend is so handsome, right?" Wei Wei says, "I'm leaving," but Si-chong stops her. Then Si-chong asks Wei Wei, "Why are you still wearing this watch?" Wei Wei says, "I've gotten used to wearing it." Si-chong asks, "Is there something you want to do but haven't been able to?" Wei Wei says, "Yes, I've never gone swimming." Si-chong is surprised to hear this. Wei Wei is scared of swimming, but Si-chong takes her to the pool and teaches her how to swim. After swimming, they sit and talk. Wei Wei says, "I never thought I could swim. Now I have to think about my future." Si-chong says, "Now you can think about your future and our future." Wei Wei smiles and kisses Si-chong. Si-chong kisses her back. The next day, a notice is put up in the college that Si-chong has secured a place in the provisional team by swimming the fastest. Everyone is happy. Junjun sees Xiaorui leaving. Si-chong's friends try to force him to talk to Xiaorui, but when they go to the room, they see that Xiaorui has taken all his stuff and left. Xiaorui calls Junjun to meet and asks her, "Are we still friends?" Junjun tells him to apologize to Si-chong face to face, but Xiaorui refuses. Xiaorui says, "If no one forgives me, that's my punishment." Junjun says, "You can't destroy anyone. You'll only destroy yourself." Junjun tells him, "You're special to me," and they both smile. Then we see Si-chong and Wei Wei walking hand in hand. Si-chong suddenly gets a shock, and Wei Wei says, "It can't be a shock. My heartbeat didn't increase." Si-chong says, "No problem. It must be static electricity. Don't worry." They continue walking and chatting happily. Just then, Lin gives Si-chong some new pads and says, "Use these when you join the professional team." When Wei Wei sees them, she says, "You didn't buy these alone." Lin says, "Yes, Yu Xin helped me buy them." Hearing this, everyone learns about Lin and Yu Xin and starts cheering and drinking. The next morning, when Si-chong wakes up, Wei Wei is lying in front of him. Si-chong looks at her and kisses her. Just then, Wei Wei wakes up and asks, "What am I doing here?" Si-chong, acting innocent, says, "It must be everyone's plan." Then Si-chong goes downstairs and sees that everyone has left, but he finds a note from Ding. The note says, "We're leaving you alone with Wei Wei. Don't waste this opportunity." Seeing this, Si-chong smiles. Just then, Wei Wei comes, and Si-chong hides the note. Si-chong says, "Everyone has left." Wei Wei says, "Then I'm leaving too." Si-chong stops her and says, "Wait, you must be hungry. I'll make breakfast for you." While Si-chong is making breakfast, Wei Wei watches him and says, "Wow, you look like a professional." While eating breakfast, Wei Wei gives Si-chong a gift. The gift is a watch with Pikachu on it. As soon as Si-chong touches the watch, Wei Wei's hand touches his, and he gets a shock. Wei Wei says, "It must be static electricity." When Si-chong wears the watch, he likes it a lot. Then we see Wei Wei spending time with her parents. Wei Wei is holding her dad's hand while walking and is very happy because she could never do this before. Her dad jokes, "Yes, you've shocked us many times, but your shock isn't strong enough to kill anyone. By the way, you got your boyfriend because of this." Wei Wei blushes and says, "Dad, don't say that. Si-chong really loves me." Then Wei Wei goes to her room and talks to Si-chong. Si-chong looks at her lovingly. Wei Wei asks, "Why are you looking at me like that?" Si-chong says, "You look so cute when you look like this." Wei Wei laughs and says, "So I never looked cute to you before?" Si-chong says, "That's not what I meant. It's the first time I've noticed a girl so closely." Wei Wei starts smiling. Si-chong says, "We'll go camping tomorrow." Wei Wei agrees, and they hang up. When Wei Wei is working on her laptop, a spark suddenly comes out of her hand. Seeing this, she is shocked and thinks, "What's happening?" In the morning, Wei Wei's mom comes into her room and sees that a lot of electricity is coming out of Wei Wei's body. When she touches her, she also gets a shock. They immediately take her to the doctor. The doctor checks Wei Wei and asks her, "Did you try any other methods to remove your electricity?" Wei Wei admits, "I took the entire box of the medicine you gave me at once." Hearing this, Wei Wei's mom scolds her. The doctor explains, earlier, electricity would come out when Wei Wei's heartbeat increased, but now it's coming out even at a normal heartbeat, and it's very unstable. I'm giving her a medicine to improve her condition, but it will take several months for everything to get better. So I advise that Wei Wei stay in a place with fewer people and avoid crowded places. Now Wei Wei takes the medicine and goes outside, where we see Si-chong waiting for her to go camping. They hug each other. Si-chong asks her, "Why are you wearing a raincoat?" Wei Wei lies, so Si-chong says, "You look very cute in it." Then he starts showing her all the camping gear and asks her to kiss him. Just as Wei Wei is about to kiss him, he stops her because her parents had arrived. They say goodbye to them and leave for camping. When they arrive, they set up everything, and Si Chong gets a call from the coach who tells him, "After you return tomorrow, you have to go to the professional team for training." Along with this, we see a flashback where Wei Wei's mom said, "I'll go to the college tomorrow to talk about the suspension." Wei Wei is thinking about how to tell Si Chong that this might be their last day together. Now Wei Wei is feeding the animals and asks Si Chong to feed them too. Si Chong is scared, so Wei Wei helps him, but accidentally shocks him. Wei Wei says, "It's just static electricity. I touched my hair just now, that's why." Si Chong says, "You really are Pikachu. Your static shock is much stronger than others." Then we see that at night, when Si Chong is sleeping, Wei Wei keeps looking at him. When Si Chong wakes up, he covers Wei Wei with a blanket and asks, "Why aren't you sleeping?" Wei Wei comes close to him, hugs him, and says thanks. Si Chong says, "Why thanks? You'll always be my Pikachu, whom I have to protect." Wei Wei kisses him and they both fall asleep. The next morning, Si Chong takes Wei Wei home. There, Wei Wei gives Si Chong a tight hug. Si Chong doesn't understand why she is doing this. Then he leaves, and Wei Wei feels sad because she thinks she might never see Si Chong again. Si Chong goes for training and calls Wei Wei every day, but Wei Wei doesn't respond. A few months pass, and one day Si Chong has a match. Ding and Daishi come, but Wei Wei doesn't. Si Chong asks, "Why didn't Wei Wei come?" Daishi says, "There was some problem at her home." After the match, Si Chong goes to the doctor and asks about Wei Wei. The doctor says they don't know where they went either. Si Chong remembers that Wei Wei had gone to her aunt's flower shop. Si Chong immediately goes there. When she is delivering flowers, Si Chong meets her. Wei Wei goes inside and locks the door, saying, "I don't want to be with you." Hearing this, Si Chong leaves, but Wei Wei starts crying. Just then, Si Chong comes back, and Wei Wei also comes out and says to him, "I'm very unlucky, and if I harm you more." Si Chong doesn't listen to her and kisses her. 3 years later, we see that Lin has become a teacher, and Yuxian brings him coffee. Daishi has become a reporter, and Ding is now a swimming coach. Then we see that after a match, Si Chong goes to Xiaorui and gives him Junjun's number, asking him to talk to her. Then he plans to propose to Wei Wei. Wei Wei receives a map from Si Chong. She goes inside an aquarium where Si Chong proposes to her. Wei Wei, emotional, says, "I want to get married right now." So he puts the ring on her finger. They kiss each other and the drama ends. How much rating would you give this drama, and which was your favorite scene? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video.